Hi everybody, welcome to the channel for the battle report of the first battle of ETZ 2023 in Amsterdam. First of all, thanks a lot for all the guys I had the occasion to have a chat with during ETC. It was really enjoyable for me to either discuss about games or the channel or other stuff. It's always the thing that is I enjoy the most about this game is obviously the human exchange and all this community and the people. It's really something amazing. So really happy to have so many chats during ETC, and I think the fact that we have been all or most of us in the same hotel helped a lot to have as many interaction as possible. Anyway, moving back to the battle report. So we're playing against Portugal for this first round. I am paired against their captain Renato, who is playing Vermin. It's a French player that I know very well from Paris, so it was fun to be paired against him at ETC. You know already my list. This was my opponent's list. He's playing a very usual Vermin list. Actually, you have the Bell, you have Adept, Witchcraft, Thaumaturgy. Then he has 2 Technocrat to boost the Rattling, 1 Prefect, Scorchist, Alchemist to boost the Bloodful Praetorians, 2 big block of 60 Legionnaire with Spear, Legend Standard, the Bell unit with a Discipline Banner, 2x6 with Rotary Gun, the Underworld Beast, Arena Beast, so random move, and the 3 Dreadmill Chariot. So very typical Vermin list that we have been seeing this year. We were playing for this first round Breakthrough and Marching Column, and below you have spell selection. I think worth mentioning is on my side the full blast setup. I want to do as many damage as possible on the Rattling that are a huge problem in the matchup. And on this side, I think the lack of random move can be questioned. I think that's something I would have picked instead of, for example, Deceptive Glamour that hasn't a so huge impact on the game, for example. Anyway, matchup analysis. I think I have good enough combat output to deal with big unit of rats. I think that's definitely something that my list is good at, is the amount of damage output that I can do with my combat block. I have so many attacks, high strength attack, that I can do huge damage to these rats. Secondary, I want to stop him from moving forward, get a dart in his deployment zone. I think here key will be to be in front of him, to stop him to go through the map, get board control, and get something in his deployment zone. Focus the Rattling with shooting and magic. Like I said, that's the biggest problem for me in the matchup. The biggest uncertainty in the matchup is the Rattling that could do huge damage against my block. I mean, strength 4 shooting +1 to wound can do so much against my unit. Definitely something I need to take care as soon as possible. Starting, I'm a bit split about the starting, because on one hand it could be interesting to put pressure, do damage on the Rattling, but on the other hand I need to be sure where he goes on the map. I cannot avoid to push in the wrong direction and go on the wrong part, and then him having a strong flank and be able to push in my deployment zone. So I think the first priority for me would be to know where he goes, and I was ready to let him start, despite the fact that we play on Marching Column, when I can see a part of his army, but he could still deploy like Arena Beast, the 3 Chariot, and then Rattlings, and the rest somewhere else. So I need to be sure where he goes and deploy in front. Estimation of the matchup was 13. Deployment, so he wandered for side and took the one with the heal. The rest was pretty symmetrical. I decided to let him start. He put an Arena Beast on the left, then Legionnaire, and then Rattlings, where I put Tribesmen, the Giant, and the Dogs. And after that, he decided to drop his Bell, but didn't deploy the rest. So I asked him to be sure, so you deploy the Bell right here? He told me yes. Then I said, okay, then I deploy everything. So I put my Shooting Merc-Vets, Death Star, the Halberdier, the Frosty, and 1 dart on the far right to try to score here. And that's the point where I realized, oh yeah, I could have dropped for first turn, which was definitely, I think, a mistake. I think it would have been nice for him to start if he know what he wanted to do. Then he put the 2nd Rattling, the block of Praetorian, the 2nd Spear unit, and the 3 Dreadmill here to zone a bit my battle line. So yeah, the idea being Poison Shot in the zone of the Rattling and the Arena to do damage. The Death Star, the 2 main block here where I expected some of his block. The Frosty that can possibly push around or help me against this unit. So, and the Dart, depending what he does, I could either move towards my middle line or move towards the side. So I have plenty of options to try to break through. Let's move on to turn 1. So I position my shooty Murkrats to shoot at his Ratling. I want to kill as much as I can with magic, the Pyro Mages here, plus the BSB and the rest of the Murkrats. I position my Giant in a way that those guys would be in my flank, so they cannot shoot at the shooty the Murkrats because they would have hard cover, which is nice. Only those guys can shoot at me, and the Giant is in a nice forward position to be aggressive. Then I move forward with the Death Star, not too much with these two units. I think those guys are a bit afraid of the charge of the 3 Chariot, but definitely I think I over-respected early on with the Frosty against those guys. I think I had nothing to be scared about. I could have pushed and eventually minimize a little bit what he might do with the charge against the Frosty and just organize a counter charge from those guys in case he charged me. But on average, those guys don't do that much against the Frosty, and I should definitely have pushed way more on the turn 1. Those guys start to push towards the side of the board. Magic Phase, Binding Scroll, 2d6, Strength 4, I think is the right decision to avoid too many damage on those Ratlings that are key. I get +1 Resilience, I think, on the Death Star. I was afraid of those guys unloading here, but I think the right choice would have been to cast it at the Murkrats, definitely. And then shooting, I do 4 wounds to the Ratling on the left, which is not that much. I still has 5 model alive, which is enough to do plenty of damage, so definitely the +1 resilience here should have been cast here on the left. He's turn 1, so since I didn't push here, he can push me. The rest just form a compact battle line. He rearranged the Ratling to shoot at those guys. Those guys get ready to shoot at the Giant. In Magic Phase, he failed the Wrath of God. I dispel reroll to wound, and with shooting, he managed to do 11 wounds to the Murkrats on the left with those Ratlings. So try and terror, he rolls no 1 and do huge damage. The same here, try and terror, no 1, and it is 3 wounds to my Giant. So definitely very complicated if you roll no 1 to manage those Ratlings that did already almost half the unit of the Murkrats, which is definitely huge. My turn 2. I have a nice charge with Giant on a 9 against those guys, and I felt if I charge here, then I can overrun in the back line, and it's very complicated for him to manage me, so I like that. Took the charge, get in, stand and shoot. He did 2 wounds to me. My Giant was, no matter what, a bit trapped here in the middle, so I felt let's take this charge, which seems really good, so I was happy to contact this one. I decided against fleeing, which surprised me. Could have also fled this charge, potentially end up here safely. Would have been maybe a safe choice. Here again, I over-respect those guys, so I went into a position where they cannot charge me, but at the same time, I'm not putting pressure on those guys, which I don't like. And I'm, in a counter-charge position, but I think here, definitely, the Frosty should have pushed. Definitely here, I push on the right, and the rest stays a bit where it is. I'm seeing what happens with the Giant, and depending on that, I can prepare for the rest. As you can see, I prepare my Chaff to be ready to Chaff next round, or get maybe charge. We will see what I need to do. In Magic Phase, I failed 2d6 Strength 4 against the Ratling on 3 dice, which is unfortunate. Then I get, I think, +1 Resilience and Chilling Goal, or Hereditary and Chilling Goal. And shooting, I did only 1 wound to the Ratling, so this is not much. Close combat, I don't roll that high. I think I kill only 2 models, which is not much with considering the amount of attack. I had like 11 attack plus D3 impact plus D6 stomp, and I did only 2 models, which is not that much, but he still ended up breaking, but I don't catch him, which is obviously an issue. His turn 2, so he rallied those guys that are ready to shoot from next round. He turned around here to shoot me, moved back with the bell to blast him, so he definitely wants to get rid of the Giant, and he even put a piece of chaff in front of the Giant. Moves back with the arena, move those guys back on the hill to zone those guys, and here push a bit forward with the Legionnaire. In the Magic Phase, and he rallied those guys, obviously. Get on of heaven, one shot the Giant. I don't care. I felt with the Ratling and everything, it was destined. His destiny was to die, so I felt no, it's not worth spending this spell since he has the Ratling that's going to kill me and can shoot at nothing else. So I let On of Heaven go, he killed my Giant, and that's it for his magic. He got also Twisted Effigy on those guys, this round, and I dispelled the Wrath of God. My turn 3, I chaffed the Praetorian and push forward, so as from now, I've lost a Giant, bit point here, and I took nothing. So I felt I don't want to lose this game, so I push forward here, chaff those guys, push the rest forward since the wheel don't see me anymore, so I push the balls forward. Those guys don't see them, but I don't think he would want to charge me, but no matter what. Just push forward with everything, and on the left I continue to zone a bit what he might do. Still have a line of sight here on the left, so he can try to push, but I would see him with the Death Star as well, which is complicated for him to get charged by the Death Star against this unit, with no counter charge here because of the Impassable. In the Magic Phase, I get a Fireball that does nothing on the Rattling, so I continue to rule really poor with my Magic, which is unfortunate. And that's it for my turn. I am under Twisted Effigy, so I do nothing shooting. He's turn 3, he push here a bit forward, move back with the unit. So basically he's in a mode where he tells me, I have more points than you. I'm winning 11-9. I try to avoid your breakthrough, and I just, for the moment, he conserve point, go into no combat. So he stays in a strong position, position all his guns to shoot the chaff piece. Move those guys a bit back and in the front to, if I charge, he has a counter charge in position, either 2 counter charge actually, and he doesn't look at them, so I'm going to continue to push. In the Magic Phase, End of Heaven does nothing. Wrath of God gets Dispel, and with shooting he one-shot completely my dogs. So goodbye dogs, it was nice to see you, but the dogs get killed in one go, so the Rattling continue to roll really hot. And I think maybe this time he rolled a 1, but not that much. So Tyrant Terror remains not so problematic for him. My turn 4. Here I push a bit. I'm starting to realize that there is no need to be scared of those guys actually. So here I push a bit forward. He can charge me. I have counter charge set up, everything in place. Here I'm going to shoot at the arena. And here I have my Death Star in a position again to look at him. If he march, I'm going to see him, be able to charge him. In the Magic Phase, I get D6 that does 3 wounds to those guys, so that's nice. Shooting, I do 3 wounds to the arena, so that's already more or less the end of the game for the arena. That's going to have to retreat after that, and that's his turn 4. I retreat the arena, and now he gets into really conservation of the point. Move those guys out of my charge range, and basically zone those guys to avoid the breakthrough and tell me, you're not going to break through, and I'm up on points, so it's going to be around 10 or 11 for him. So that's what he tries to tell me. So it's going to be not so easy for me to be aggressive. He hide the Rattling as well, so he really wants to save his points. In Magic Phase, I Dispel the Wrath of God. He gets 5 hits, strength 5. That does 2 AP on those guys, I think. So. Let's move on to my turn 5. I see an opportunity because my dart can charge on 9 those guys. And if I get that charge, actually it's really nice. Because I most likely win this combat. It's not so good when he doesn't charge. And if I get rid of those guys and is in the breakthrough zone, then on my turn, I can actually, from my movement turn 5, push hard here and get into nice combat with those guys with double unit and get more points. So we will see how that goes, but I failed that charge, which forced me to push the Frosty to punish. In case he charge, I can counter charge with the Frosty. Here I push those guys. I move away with the Merc Vet that suffer more wounds from a couple of shooting. So as you can see, even with 2 Rattlings, that does too much on the Merc Vets. I have 5 wounds left, so there is no points given at the moment. So I move away and move the BSB within the big Death Star that keep zoning this unit, this unit, this unit. So I'm seeing everything with the Death Star, which is really nice. In my Magic Phase, I get D6, get Dispel, the second one. Did 1 wound, I think, to the Rattling, or 2 wounds, and then with the Swarm of Insect, I killed the remaining Rattling. So I got those points. Yes, that's it for my turn, actually. He's turn 5. Move the Rattling to shoot at those guys, get more points. Chaff those guys with the 60 Legionnaires, which are maybe enough to not suffer too much from the combat. And he decided not to charge here. Because I think it was too focused and let's save points. But actually, when not charging here, he basically gives me secondary, which I think was not the idea. He should have definitely charged me, overrun off the board, and then get killed. Actually, if he overrun off the board, I cannot kill him on my 6. So definitely that would have been the best choice. So I don't know why he didn't charge. Yeah, I would have. Yeah, if he charged, my idea was to flee and then kill him. Yeah, that's why. I remember now. In a Magic Phase, but that's nice for me because it means I'm going to win on secondary, so that's really nice. In the Magic Phase, I Bind Scroll the Wrath of God. He got End of Heaven, did 5 wounds here, and with the Rattling he kills, so he got those points. Yes, Mighty Unbeliever get Dispel. And that's it, my turn 6. I go here. I was outside of 8 of those guys and of those guys, so I have no march check, and I can chaff those guys in a minimized way, and here I can just break through, so that's perfect. Those guys go into combat, try to get rid of this unit. We will see what I can do. Other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, move those guys away, cannot do any range damage to get those points, so I save those points. And that's pretty much it. In the magic phase, I got Hereditary on the close combat, and then a Swarm of Insects to do some wounds somewhere. I don't know where, to be honest. And then close combat, I managed to do 24 wounds, meaning he has like 36 alive, so that's enough to still be here. On his turn, he countercharged here on 7. It's not on picture because he did it a bit after I took the picture. He realized that I let him complete discharge, so he got that on a 7, only in the corner, so he has only one model that can attack me because it was in the front, and only one model. In the magic phase, he got Roll of Battle, then Smite, which I really wanted to dispel. He got 6, 6, and a 5, so I cannot dispel that. So I got -1 resilience. Still didn't do much, maybe kill one model, and then I strike, and he was just steadfast with this unit, so he was still here with those guys. So yeah, that was fine. And here, just move out of the way, and that's it. It ended up being a tie on the bash point because he took my giant, tigers, and the tribesmen, and I took half the legionnaires and a rattling unit, and that's basically it, which makes it 13 with the secondary for me. That mattered a lot. Deployment, I asked myself after the game, should I have been more central, minimize a bit more the second rattling unit, but after seeing the picture and try to move the unit, I didn't see any better option, to be honest. I just felt after the first shooting phase after his first turn, my left flank seems a bit weak, but I think mainly here my mistake more than the deployment, which I think was fine. I think the mistake was not to protect the Merc Vets against his shooting. I think I should have definitely cast the +1 resilience on those Merc Vets on the left, which should have reduced a bit the amount of wounds that I suffered, which makes my unit more alive and more able to fight on the left. So definitely, I think I made a mistake on this first magic phase, more than a deployment mistake. I think Vermin Swarm should have dropped after 3. Turn 2, Ogre, nice opening for the giant, which still ended up dying, but still I was lucky to get the charge, but unlucky to then not catch him, or at least not do more wounds in the combat with 11 attack plus D3 plus D6 impacts and stomps. Rattling rolling high caused big damage early on. I mean, no wounds done on himself with the Try and Terror was huge to keep those guys alive and continue shooting on my unit. Donc, he did really a very good job with his shooting attack, and that was a problem for me in this game. I definitely over-respected the Doomspark early in the game with my Frosty, which was an issue. Could have allowed me to push more and get into combat sooner with the Legionnaire and get more points, definitely. The Death Star was key in zoning the middle of the map and the left flank to avoid him pushing. Turn 5 Ogre, nice opportunity for the Trident Dart on the right, but I failed that charge, but that was definitely a very nice opportunity that he shouldn't have left me, to be honest. Should have given me a longer charge. Turn 5 Vermin Swarm, he should have charged the Tribesman. This definitely cost him the secondary. Yeah, this round went really well. We basically won on all the table. And we ended up capping Portugal, which was a nice start for us at ETC, and place us, I think, in the second spot after this round. So we ended up being paired against Germany, which was another strong team of this tournament. So really nice to face them so early on and have a first check of how we're going to do during this ETC, because that was a first test for us. And if we do fine, that's encouraging for the rest of ETC. The opposite, if you lose that kind of round, you know that your chances of winning ETC or being on the podium are going to be smaller, basically. Guys, thanks all for watching this battle report. It was really interesting, and talk to you soon on the channel for the second game. Bye.